Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another Mainstream Monday on Horror Film Lovers. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and I'm here with.
John Ward.
Yes, John Ward is back again. I'm surprised. I'm just like, yeah, I'm surprised you're not tired of this yet. I mean, this is.
I like torturing myself. So
Yeah, well, there you go. So we're here to talk about the 1999 film Teaching Mrs. Tingle. And
Teaching Mrs. Tingle.
yes, you have the DVD. Awesome.
Yep.
It actually had a Blu-ray release from Mill Creek, but it's like I think a little harder to find now.
It is. I wanted it on Blu-ray, and I could only find it on DVD, and it was at an okay price. But yeah, any places I look like Zia Records and stuff, they basically just said everything is out of print. So I found it. I think I found it on eBay. So.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. You might even be able to find it at like Goodwill or something. Like a lot of those Goodwills have them.
Oh, just come across it. Yeah.
Yeah, but maybe they don't, because if you're saying it's out of print, it might be harder to find at like a good, like a lot more people might sell it on eBay than sell it at the, local store.
Yeah, it's actually a really disappointing disc. Like, there's just nothing on this. I mean, wow. Special features include a theatrical trailer, DTS, 5.1 surround, and then it tells us the aspect ratio for 16:9 televisions. Wow. I bought this just for the special features.
Oh, wait. Oh, yeah. There were no special features. Yes.
Yeah, those are special features. That's every disc.
I wonder if the Blu-ray has special features or not. It's probably bare bones, just like the movie.
Yeah.
It didn't do well enough where I think Dimension felt like it needed I don't even think, like, because it didn't do well enough, like I don't think Kevin Williamson even wanted it, like, to talk about it. Like, he really doesn't talk about it these days at all.
I don't blame him.
This movie sort of has a special place in my heart. So, well, I guess I'll get into that right now. So I was huge, Scream fan once I saw it on VHS, right, when it came out and everything. I did not see it in the theater, but it really, like, amazed me, that movie. And then it sort of became more like I searched out everything Kevin Williamson. I watched Dawson's Creek. I got into I Know What You Did Last Summer, which is one of the ones we're going to be doing. I watched all the movies, right? And then when I heard Kevin Williamson was directing this movie, I got super excited, because I loved The Faculty at the time, and I loved the Scream movies. Like, I thought, wow, this is going to be really cool to see him actually do something. And so I went with my brother to go see this movie in the theater, at our local theater, which was right up the street from where I live. So we actually walked, up to the movie. My brother hated it when he first saw it, thought it was trash, just didn't think it was good. I probably still would think that, I absolutely loved it. Like, it was something that, I don't know, for some reason, I guess because I was graduating in 2000, and maybe I had teachers in some way or another that kind of pissed me off at some point, but I don't know, I really liked it. I even didn't mind the PG-13 rating it got, so I really dug it, and then I started hearing people bashing it all the time, and it kind of made me sad, because, like, I don't know why. So when I rewatched it with my friend yesterday, I watched it with a friend of mine who I haven't seen in years, who is visiting, and I was like, do you want to watch this? Because we used to always watch movies together. And he was like, I feel like I've seen this movie before. Maybe you've shown it to me, like, when we were, I was like, that's probably true, and we rewatched it, and we both really enjoyed it. I don't know. So it's going to be interesting to hear why you didn't like it, and maybe what your reasoning behind that was. But I just loved it. I still do. It still is a part of my and we'll get into some specific things soon. But I want to hear what your take on it, because is this your first time watching it?
No.
Okay, so you've seen it before.
It's probably my third time.
Okay.
So, but I'm that age where I was, writing the Tarantino, Kevin Smith, Robert Rodriguez, even Kevin Williamson high, during the 90s. And so my friends and I would go see anything that came out by them. And that was the thing to do. And then, of course, Wes Craven was big again because of Scream. And so anything that had Kevin Williamson on it, I would go watch. And I saw everything in the theater. I through the first couple seasons of Dawson's Creek. I remember enjoying it when I first saw it, teaching Miss Tingle. I remember liking it. And then I think I just saw it years later, probably when it came out on, DVD or whatever it was at the time. I think I rewatched it and still liked it. And then I watched it this time, and I think it's his worst film with his name on it. I think Cursed is actually better than this.
Oh,
even
God.
even though Cursed is a giant mess. I was never bored, and it had a werewolf in it at least. And I was entertained by its badness. It has that interesting history behind it. This, I didn't understand it at all. I didn't understand any of the motivations of anybody in this movie at all. I don't know if it's studio, meddling. I don't know if it's maybe because it's one of Kevin Williamson's scripts. Then he got to make it later when he got big, that it just didn't work. But I think it's everything about this film is milk toast. There's no balls to this film at all. None. And yeah, I did not, I have no problem owning it because I could put it along with the other Kevin Williamson stuff. That's fine. I'm a completist. But I don't know if I'd watch this again. I was bored. I kept getting up to do something and just let it play. And it was, I don't know. Cursed. I had to do twice only because I was started it really late and I'm old and I fell asleep. So then I rewatched it the next day. But this, I started it this morning and I got up at 7 and I didn't care. I mean, I put it on and I hated the credits. The credits are fucking awful. They look like something I do on my computer. I don't understand the credits. I don't know why they are the way that they are. They look like something. It looks like the kindergarten cop lettering, where it's where it's like a film by. It looks like it's all done in crayon. And then it says Kevin Williamson in bold letters, and it keeps shooting across the screen. And I'm like, what is this, a fucking John Hughes movie? And then, which is fine if that's what you're aiming for.
It was sort of like a dark John,
I think Breakfast Club was darker than this. And the music I thought was absolutely horrible. The songs in it I thought were completely out of place.
Except I really always enjoyed, even I know you don't like the opening credits, like what they look like, but I always enjoyed that Eve 6 tongue-tied in that, beginning. It just sort of felt like the way that, was the hip way to do all these stuff. I mean, we had like, what's that movie? 10 Things I Hate About You and all those like teen comedies, and this felt like Kevin Williamson going to do a teen comedy, but also, putting a little bit of his suspense into it, and everything.
didn't get any suspense out of this film at all. And if it's just trying to make a teen comedy, then that's fine. Just make a teen comedy. I didn't, to me, this was not like a dark comedy or anything. What it kind of reminded me of and failed completely at is Swimming with Sharks, which is a much better movie. And if you're going to be teaching Miss Tingle a lesson, then teach her a lesson. Fuck her up. Why are you cooking her breakfast? You know, why are you doing? None of this stuff made any sense to me whatsoever. And nobody learns anything in this movie at all. Nobody. There is no arc for anyone. I mean, what does anybody learn in this movie?
Right. So let's go into some background in the film. You know, so I looked it up. Right. You know, I went to did some checked out some interviews. So what I can gather is Kevin Williamson wrote it about a creative writing teacher or English teacher. I'm not sure which one it was. He used to know that after he read a story, had told him that he would never amount to anything as a writer. Unfortunately, she passed away before he could make the movie. So she basically never got to see it. It was based on real situations, including that he was caught in the gym and that he actually went to her house to explain it, but she called the cops on him and he fled, you know? So that part was actually based on a true story, you know, based on something that happened to him, but but that obviously, you know, whatever. So, Helen Mirren was interested because she knew that there were teachers like Mrs. Tingle who used their intellect to put students down. Her sister, who was a teacher as well, hated the character and the story and didn't want Helen to do it. The two didn't speak for a while. After the movie was done and she was asked, "Why did you do the movie?" Her answer was, "Because they paid me a shitload of money."
Well, there you go.
Kevin Williamson said that he had never had a chance directing another movie, or he felt like he may never have a chance directing another movie. So he was really excited to do it and used every day as a chance that, you know, someday be taken away from him. So he kind of viewed it, you know, every day as sort of like a gift to be directing, which was good. You know, it was nice. Because of Columbine, things were altered, including the title Killing Mrs. Tingle, which was the original title. It was changed to Teaching Mrs. Tingle, and even I believe the ending was altered. I think actually they do kill or try to kill her, you know, in it. But because of Columbine, things got changed. Which is interesting. I think, did we say in faculty that it was something to do with Columbine? Right?
I don't remember.
No, Scream 3 because of Columbine.
No, Scream 3 was Columbine, where you everybody gets stabbed in the back, and then you see the aftermath.
Yeah, I was trying to think if that was that, but no. So yeah, because the faculty was 98, and this was 99, and this was literally about to, like, they were going into production right about before Columbine. So they changed, or after Columbine. So after Columbine, things kind of changed and they had to alter the stuff. So that happened. Funny that the first script that Kevin wrote, considering the original title, was Killing Mrs. Tingle, sounds a little too much like Killing Mr. Griffin, that Lois Duncan wrote. Lois Duncan also wrote I Know What You Did Last Summer, which was Kevin Williamson's second script he tried to sell before Scream became a hit. No one wanted it because in the early to mid-90s, slasher films were dying. Lois must have been a big inspiration to him, I believe. Film was shot in different places in LA, including Pasadena, which was 12 minutes. I figured this out. This is 12 minutes away from where I used to live. So when I was door dashing, maybe I passed by it because It's at like it was at 143 or something Markham Place, and that was the house, you know. And I looked at it like there's a Zillow listing for it, and you can actually see the inside. It looks just the same as it did. I think they added a few things to it now. It's a little different. So, yeah.
I used to live in Pasadena. I lived in Pasadena for 5 years.
You might have drove past it. Who knows? You know.
Yeah, we used to try to find location all the time. Some of them were pretty easy. I don't think we ever looked for that one though, but we did look for other things.
And I so here's a funny story. So I'm friends with the guy who does movie location videos, you know, and I actually told him, you know, if you want to do Teaching Mrs. Tingle, like, you know, it's in Pasadena or whatever, right? The house. And his response to me was, I don't think I ever liked that movie.
There you go.
Oh, sad. That's a sad thing that, you know.
I don't think in that case it matters if you like the film or not. I mean, if you can go to location, get a video out of it, why not?
I think he does that's the thing with his shows though. He does ones he actually likes and wants to talk about.
Okay. Fair enough.
It was a bomb, $13 million budget, $8 million gross. It will probably be on my show, Hollywood Knockbusters, next year or the year after, next season or year after. I don't want to do it the same year I'm doing it here, but it is a Hollywood Knockbuster. It is something that a lot of people do like. And I was going through, there are people who did like it. I was seeing was watching one of the trailers, right? And I was looking at the comments, and there were so many comments from people saying, I really love this movie. I don't know why it didn't get, you know, as much fame as it should have, you know, or whatever.
Because it's not good.
Some people love it. I mean, it does have its fans, you know. Maybe nowadays people can look back at it and like maybe they think differently of it or something. Maybe.
Well, that's what I was kind of hoping. I mean, I remembered liking it, and so I when I sat down to watch it, the second those credits came on in that song, and I'm just like, oh, what the fuck is this? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't want to watch this. What? No, I mean, to me, credits are a very big deal, and it just looked like a bad high school comedy, and it was just like, no, I don't want this. I mean, yeah, I don't get. I mean, I think that you know, Helen Mirren, I think, did a great job in it. I thought everybody did fine, right. But it's just not. And even some of the other actors that are in it, like I forgot that Michael McKean was in it, who I absolutely love. Mm-hmm. And I'll pretty much watch anything of him in it. But, you know, Leslie Ann Warren, and then, you know, you got
Leslie Ann Warren, I was so disappointed by. You know,
it's a throwaway role.
It was, and it almost felt like she didn't need to be in it, you know? Like,
well, Vivica A. Fox is barely in the movie.
That's true. Know. She was a throwaway role too, in a way. But to me, I don't know. She was only in 2 scenes or something, you know? In the movie. And Leslie Ann Warren's maybe in 3 or 4 scenes. I felt like both roles. I mean, I guess if you're gonna cast people for small roles, you might as well get cameos, you know, of people who are pretty good.
Well, yeah, I mean, it could be these are people that Kevin Williamson likes, you know.
Or
and just, you know,
my idea is they're people that are on contract with Dimension. That seems to be what ends up happening. Is Dimension Films has a lot of people on contract. Here's a little thing: like Harvey Weinstein originally wanted David Schwimmer, Jon Stewart, and Drew Barrymore to be the leads in Chasing Amy. You know, if they were going to make it for like 15 million or whatever the original price was going to be, but because they were going to go with a much lower budget, which was like 250 grand or so, they ended up getting Ben Affleck, Joey Lauren Adams, and Jason Lee, who all blew up and became, well, Ben Affleck especially really blew up. Joey Lauren Adams deserves more work than she's gotten, and I love her to death. And Jason Lee joined Scientology, so
Oh, there you go.
you know, I don't know. I you know, like he and then he left Scientology as far as I know, but he you know, but he had, you know, he had a career, he had a good career, you know. So anyway, the point is that I was sort of I don't know, sort of like disappointed with having those cast members, because I feel like they were, you know, like Harvey Weinstein was like, we could get Leslie Ann Warren to be in your movie, you know, because she owes us a favor, you know.
Well, I mean, we don't actually know that. I mean,
don't.
that's where we I mean, I mean, obviously he wanted Molly Ringwald in there for a reason, because she did those teen movies. I mean, she was the queen.
Well,
so I don't think she would just be in a Rolodex on Weinstein's desk. I mean, he probably said, I want Molly Ringwald in this movie.
No, Kevin Williamson wanted Molly Ringwald in to play Sydney in Scream. I looked it up. He actually wanted her to play Sydney in Scream. She turned it down, saying, I can't, I'm like too old to play a, you know, a teenager, you know, again. And I can't, you know, I'm not going to do that again. But he's been, you know, obviously a fan from Breakfast Club. He actually even had.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. He wanted her in the film. Most likely he's the one who said, let's bring Molly Ringwald on board. So, I mean, who really knows? I mean, Jeffrey Tambor and, you know, a lot of these people are, you know, are veterans, so they're more known to
Jeffrey
me
was
than
also
somebody.
in, I believe Jeffrey was also in Scream, if I'm correct. You know, I
Jeffrey
believe,
Tambor?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think so.
Wasn't he?
I don't think he's in any of the Scream movies.
Who was it that I'm thinking of? Then I am completely wrong. Then maybe he wasn't. No, he probably wasn't. No, I'm thinking of somebody else. Never mind. That's okay.
I mean, when the film was made, I would be, you know, and if I was writing and directing it, and somebody came to me and said, of course, this is before Jeffrey got canceled, but you know, if they said Jeffrey Tambor could be in your film, I'd be like, hell yeah. You know, if they said, you know, Vivica A. Fox, I'd be down with that. I'd be down with Molly Ringwald. I didn't even know
Jeffrey got canceled. I'm like so behind on who's not canceled these days. You know, like everybody is fucking, you know, there's nobody who's going to be able to work in Hollywood ever again.
Yeah, allegedly it was on that, was it Transphobia, that trans show that he was on? I'm blanking on the full trans something, and he's the lead character who's trans, and I guess like 4 or 5 people said that he was verbally and physically abusive, so he was fired from the show and actually was not in like the final episode.
That sucks.
Yeah. And then of course you got Katie Holmes, who ended up marrying Tom Cruise and joining Scientology. I really feel kind of sorry for. I mean, but not really at the same time.
I mean, I've it's really funny. So I worked at a theme park where a lot of people would come to, and I would do like the games and stuff. And sometimes people would say, like, one person said they were from Wilmington, North Carolina, and I said, oh, so you're by where Dawson's Creek is filmed, you know, and stuff. And they're like, yeah, we actually used to be extras on the show. And they said that Katie Holmes really kept to herself, like when she was done, she would just go to her trailer, you know. But like James Vanderbeek and Joshua Jackson would both like come hang out with them and stuff at the, you know, in the extras room and stuff, and were a lot nicer, you know. And then they didn't say anything about Michelle Williams. And then another person I met said they were from Toledo, Ohio, where, you know, Katie Holmes was from, and I actually went to her school, and said that she was pretty much just kept to the theater department. Like she only hung out with theater kids. She didn't really socialize with much other people. Like that was her dream, and her craft was just to stay focused on that. And I actually, when I heard that, I kind of respected that, because I know that might come off as like, oh, she's being, stuck up or something like that to some people. But to me, that's like, dude, she really like wants this, and you can tell she's just a phenomenal actress to me. I've always liked Katie Holmes.
Well, that's kind of how drama people were when I went to high school. I mean, you didn't really, drama people hung out with drama people. You didn't, they weren't hanging out with the stoners in the back parking lot. That's, if there was a drama party, drama people went to it. It was, that's the way it is. I've always liked her. I think I discovered her on Dawson's Creek, which is kind of why I watched it.
Mm-hmm.
I saw her in anything else before that. I watched Dawson's Creek because it was Kevin Williamson, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm James Vanderbeek. I'm that nerd who loves Steven Spielberg, and Steven Spielberg movies, answer all problems. And, and one of my favorite directors is Spielberg. So it's like, oh, I'll check out Dawson's Creek, and enjoyed it and loved, Katie Holmes, thought she was gorgeous, and then just kind of followed her. And then the whole Tom Cruise thing happened, and it's like, oh man, that was a huge mistake. That kind of ruined your career, because it would have been nice to see her in Dark Knight. It would have been great to, because I think Maggie Gyllenhaal is attractive, but not the way the Joker's finding her attractive. That's obviously Katie Holmes, who is, that's who I think he's really referring to, is, but it was a shame to see her go through there, because now I don't think, she's getting those roles that she could have had. So that was a massive mistake. I don't know why her manager and agent thought that would be a good idea.
What? That she would go into Scientology?
Yeah.
And date Tom Cruise? I mean, I don't think her manager and agent had anything.
Actually, absolutely they did. Tom Cruise has a 10-year contract. So that's why Nicole Kidman left when she did. And Katie Holmes signed a 10-year contract to marry Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is all business. It has nothing to do with love. And Katie Holmes did an interview where she said that when she was a little girl, she had a poster of Tom Cruise on her wall, and that her goal in life was to marry Tom Cruise. And the agents got together. She signed the contract and would have to be in Scientology. And it's all contracts with Tom Cruise. I mean, as I'm a huge Tom Cruise fan, and I should be because of Scientology. But it's all agents and managers and all that stuff. And same thing with like Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston. That was all set up by their managers.
Interesting, because I had a picture of Katie Holmes up on my wall, and I always dreamed of marrying her. Maybe I can make that deal.
Well, there you go.
Agents, I got to get my fucking agents. I got to get an agent that
it's possible, but then you got to deal with Scientology kid. So
oh, like her child. That's
yeah.
I mean, is it he or she? I want to say it was a he. The child.
I think, is it Shiloh? I think is the kid's name. I think it's a boy. Yeah.
That's a good question.
It's obviously Tom Cruise's and her, definitely their DNA, because it looks, the little kid looks just like them. But I don't believe for a second that they ever had sex. I don't. I don't. Surrey. Yeah. Oh, I think it was, all, basically turkey baster, type of thing.
This sounds terrible. But do you know what Surrey sounds like it could be short for?
No, what?
Surrogate.
Oh, see.
Just saying.
You never know. You never know.
But no, well, is Surrey still in the
No, because they left. She split. She broke free, I guess, once that contract was over with, or just about, and then she divorced and left. And there were rumors of Tom Cruise leaving Scientology because he wants to see his kid.
Oh,
so yeah, because Scientology will not allow him to see Katie Holmes or his child, because they're not in Scientology. Right.
Well, why would you agree to like a 10-year contract? There should have been something saying that you'd have to be able to see your kid if the person like
no, because she could be in it forever. It's not like it's 10 years they're gone. She could be in it forever, but there's a contract that's signed. And look, you could look up, there's a lot of talk about this, and it's about Cruz and Scientology and his wives. And, that's why like Nicole Kidman and him never had a kid, they adopted.
Watch out. We're mentioning too much of this stuff that, we might be being watched soon.
This is all allegedly, because I can't prove anything. It's just stuff that I've read and watched. So
yeah.
But with I thought that she was I thought she was good in Teaching Miss Tingle. I know I had a crush on her for a while, and but it's just get back into the film. I thought it was boringly directed. It was almost kind of directed like a play. And you would think I would assume Wes Craven would probably be his mentor. And there's no flavor, there's no style to this movie at all. It's boring. And in my opinion, it's just, there's no like, oh, that's a nice shot, or no, there's one nice shot in the whole movie. And no, take that back. That was I Know What You Did Last Summer. So no, there's not one nice shot in this whole film. It's funny. Directed like a standard movie, or a standard teen comedy. I don't get anything. I don't understand anything of this film. What was their motivation? What were they planning? So she's a dickhead teacher. We've all had them. She gives the shitty words. So and it's all because of this guy right here that for some reason both these girls like for some reason. And they, instead of going, when she goes to the principal's office, and this is Miss Tingle, and Molly Ringwald says he's gone for the day. And you could see Katie Holmes walking in one direction away, and then Miss Tingle walks the other way. Why not just go to Miss Tingle's office? Go to the classroom. And the guy, if he was any sort of man, he would own up to it. And maybe Miss Tingle would believe it, maybe they wouldn't. But he is never once a man in this whole film.
It's true.
He does say once, he goes, oh no, it was me, I did it. But that's after she took blame. That's after she took blame.
Right.
And then he stands up. But yet these girls find him attractive? Like, what the hell?
Yeah, it's kind of true.
And then I thought, okay, well, if they went to Miss Tingle's office, that means that they couldn't go to her house. So it's like, okay, so the script says they have to go to the house to make all this stuff happen. And it's one of those things where I don't understand, like, is there projection going on here with Miss Tingle? Like, are these stories that end up being lies really true? My best friend stole my boyfriend. Are these things really true? Because Katie Holmes asks, why are you such a bitch? And you don't really get a story. You don't really get a reason. Anybody can leave. It doesn't make sense to me. Leave. Why do you? She's like, well, I hate all of you because you get to leave and what you all stand for. She talks about their generation and stuff.
Right. And
it seems like everybody in her class was putting out a pretty big effort to impress her. Mm-hmm. So why would she be so disappointed? Well, and it just doesn't make sense. If you want to leave the town, leave the town. You could go teach someplace else. It just, none of it made sense to me.
So the biggest thing with the kids is, Leanne, when she gets, so I guess to explain a little bit. So Leanne is like this close away from getting like valedictorian and becoming,
right.
and getting her scholarship. She just needs that scholarship. She needs to beat the one girl, and she needs to beat the girl who's sort of like the trust fund girl, the chick who, doesn't really need this. And they even talk about it. Like, she doesn't need, she doesn't need any of this stuff. It just looks good on her college transcripts, but like her parents are already buying her into those colleges anyway. So like none of this matters to her. She just wants to be, she's such a bitch. She wants to be better than, Katie Holmes, right? She just wants to be the best, right? So that character is a complete total cut, right? So you get, but if you think about it, like both of them did a really good job on their history projects, right? They both did, Though, here's an interesting thing I just read earlier that will kind of make you laugh, I think. So there's an actual goof. There's a goof that I think is really funny. So let's see, when the stuff about her okay, so no accused witch was burned at Salem. The victims of the scare were all hanged or hung, it says hanged, whatever. Therefore, Leanne's report is flawed and Miss Tingle is entitled to mark her down for it. So
I don't believe that's true.
You don't believe that's true?
The Salem witch trials, they were hung and one man was crushed. It was in Europe that they were burning witches. They hung witches in America.
Right. So that was what they were saying, was that...
Did I misunderstand what you said?
Yeah. So what she said was that they said no accused witch was actually burned at Salem. But in Teaching Mrs. Tingle, she's talking about being burned at the stake.
I got you. Yes. So that is
they were all
incorrect.
hung.
Yeah.
So she actually was wrong to begin with.
Yes.
And I don't even know how Kevin Williamson messed that up that badly. Once again, I think this was his original script. He didn't do as much research when he made it, when he wrote it, whatever. He didn't, then he probably did not rewrite a lot. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't take the time to really rewrite it to be better. And you know what I mean? He just kind of put out a new draft, that whatever. So anyway, the point is, was it Miss Tingle didn't her grade, which was a C, was going to knock her down because that girl was still going to get the A,
right.
Which I was so disappointed because she got a B, right? She put it down as a B. I'm like, well, I guess she put an A for herself and a B for for whatever. And that girl did, a phenomenal job making it the Bastille, the storming of the Bastille, thing. But anyway, so she made a good project, and probably because somebody else probably made that for her. That's my idea, is that girl was so trust fundy that she probably had somebody actually make something for her.
I don't know. She seemed to be pretty
proud of it.
Yeah. She might have gotten help, maybe her dad helped her or something, but she deserved to be after tearing part of it apart.
Freaking out about it, at the end,
but it's funny because the C, that goes with the Salem book is, it would have been nice if Williamson caught that, and then Miss Tingle can say, well, no, obviously you didn't do your full research. That's right. So that's why you got a lower grade or something. That would have been nice. But I wasn't sure if the guy even made the crossbow, or did he just find a crossbow and bring it in?
I think that's what he did. The idea, I think, for him, for his project wasn't, I guess, was it supposed to be making something? Because what is it?
Because then why not then just go out and buy a leather bound book?
Because I don't think what's her name made the dress that she wore as Marilyn Monroe, in that scene. I think it was just they brought those things and whatnot.
I think it's to impress Miss Tingle. Look at the effort that I made to make this book and this castle and and that type of thing. That's like the guy here who just puts the rock on the table and goes Plymouth Rock is he knows it's bullshit. He knows that he is going to get a bad grade, regardless.
Yeah. And he doesn't care at that point, which is why they go into the into the gym, and she, and he has the tests, the test answers or whatever. And so he gives it to Leanne, who doesn't take it out which I would have imagined. And whatever happened to that beer? Like that bothered me a little bit. Like that beer disappeared. Like,
Yeah,
like,
that's true. It did.
Yeah, because like he had the beer, and then they're all running away from Mrs. Tingle, and she didn't walk over and go, "Hey, what's that over there?"
I know, like he took the rock in the classroom and he put it into his pocket. So maybe he took the beer and kind of just put it into his pocket because he has big pockets. Beer?
All right,
that's the only thing I could think of since it just magically disappeared.
Maybe
I did like that they explained why Miss Tingle was in the gym. I did like that she was there to see the coach.
Right.
That they explained that later on, because I even thought like, wow, that's what a coincidence. Why would she go into the gym?
So and I think that was probably a note that was given to Kevin Williamson, like why, and they had to make that reason up, or maybe originally he thought of that. I don't know, but
wouldn't that be enough? So they've gone through all of this. Obviously, the teachers are not supposed to be screwing each other, and Miss Tingle has this reputation, and the coach is obviously dopey. So all they really have to do is go, oh, okay, unless we get A's, we're just going to tell everybody that you're with the coach.
Well, isn't that sort of what they tried to do? But
they try to blackmail with the pictures.
Yeah, but see, then it becomes their word against Mrs. Tingle's and that guy's. And I think they even explained that Coach Winchell would have just denied it the whole time if they just.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
So that's why they said, okay, we'll just bring him up and put him into the, into the bed with her or whatever, get him drunk. Which
I guess so. I thought it was kind of weird, but then once again, it's because the script demands it, is that they got the pictures developed. With now, I think this is now I'm thinking a little too much into this, I think, but it's a small town. Everybody probably knows who Miss Tingle is. Probably the person who's developing the pictures has been a student of hers. And here this person is developing pictures of Miss Tingle with the coach.
Right.
So I would probably go, fuck, that's Miss Tingle. I'm going to make duplicates. Because during that time period, that's when they're doing, and especially if you've ever seen the film 1 Hour Photo with Robin Williams, it's all by hand. So it's, he's putting all the stuff in the machines. They're looking at the photos. They're putting them into the bag. And so the person would probably know that's Miss Tingle.
Right.
So that I kind of felt like, well, it's kind of weird. Why not just keep the camera? Why not just say these will never get developed if,
I guess then if they find, if Miss Tingle gets the camera, whatever.
But like I said, it's because the script demands it, because then later the friend who feels cheated on has the photos in her hand.
Yeah. So and goes, she went out and got the photo here. Yeah.
Yeah.
She went out to the 1 Hour Photo, place or whatever, which I thought was weird. So the way that it said like 1 Hour Photo, and it's like above like a machine. So I was like thinking, is there like a machine that they go into and do this? But no, they go into, right? Like, I don't think there was a machine, was there?
Well, yeah, because it sorts it's a process. Have you seen 1 Hour Photo? Because they actually go through the whole process.
I've been we had at my Target, we had a 1 Hour Photo place, in my Target, and so you would go in there. It's no longer there or whatever because nobody fucking does this anymore. But it's all digital now. But
right.
But I would go into Target and I would give the people my camera, and then they would process it and do everything. So I never had to go through a machine, but I guess some places did. I was just a little confused as to what, and they said it would take like till tomorrow, which I was like, a 1 Hour Photo taking till tomorrow is just sort of funny to me,
Excuse me. Well, I guess a 1 Hour Photo, you pay more.
Yeah, probably. So,
the next day it's whatever it is. I just overall with this, I just did not understand the motivation. So, okay, script dictates they have to go to the house.
Right.
So they get to the house. What was the plan?
remember there was, I think originally there was no plan. The original plan was to go talk to Mrs. Tingle, and even what's her name, the girl, the best friend Jolene, she comes up and she's just like, let me go talk to her, right? Like,
which makes no sense. Yeah, because I know that she says but once again, it's the script is telling us. So it would have made more sense if they all three went up and said, can we please talk to you? Right. And they all go inside. They sit down. The guy becomes a man and owns up to his mistake, goes into detail. I went into the drawer. I stole the test. I brought it to them. I was trying to be, hey, look at me. I'm trying to impress two girls. And I, had the test and I stuck it in her backpack. And then that's when you came in. Now, maybe she would have believed him, maybe not. But I think that it would have sounded a lot better than if the girl who wants to be an actress goes up and lies to her, which doesn't make any sense because she goes, oh, well, the person who's accused will sound more guilty. Well, but you're guilty right there. You're blatantly lying to somebody who knows that you're lying. And I know they're supposed to be teenagers, and teenagers do stupid things, which is why, they're not allowed to do anything until at least 18. So I get that they're doing stupid stuff.
Right.
But
they are 18 because they're graduating high school, like right then and there, like they're about to graduate.
Could be 18. I mean, I know I was held back. So everyone I graduated with was 17 and I was 18, which was great because I could write my own notes.
Yeah.
So, if I wanted to leave school, I would just say, oh, I'm leaving school, John Ward. Which did not benefit me down the road when it came to graduation. But it's and of course they're drinking all the wine and shit like that you'd probably bring that stuff up. But I don't know. I just did not like it. I just thought it was just it felt like a TV movie. It just didn't work for me.
Like you said, it felt like a teen comedy. And
I mean, I guess I'm wrong in a way. I mean, it says an outrageous comedy filled with horrific twists. I don't know what's horrific. Lots of fun, outrageously funny. I don't know. Maybe because I'm used to Scream and The Faculty, and maybe I was expecting horror. And I like how she's holding an apple, which really holds. What does the apple hold significance to?
And it's just teaching, the teacher.
I guess the apple, get the apple for the teacher.
Whatever. Yeah, so here's the thing. So I have this feeling like we're gonna get people who are gonna be like, this isn't a horror film. Why is it on a show called Horror Film Lovers? Blah 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 blah. Right. And it's true. There is no horror in it. It's not. There's no deaths or anything like that. Even when the girl comes to visit and then gets shot with the arrow, she lives. There's no death. She just gets knocked out, basically, or whatever. And so there is no death in it. And maybe that killing Mrs. Tingle, and maybe the fact that it was, a different, probably even maybe even a different movie, that he originally wrote,
I think the script was different. I think the script was probably more horror. I think it was more like Swimming with Sharks.
Yeah.
And then they toned it down because it's look at the, even the scene where the actress girl, the Jolene is doing the Exorcist stuff. It's obviously loot. Well, because she was probably saying "fuck me," right? And they looped it over and to give it that PG-13. Because I was watching the film going, why would this be rated R? Except for that scene, if maybe she said the F word 4 or 5 times, then it might get the R rating. But there's no violence in this movie at all.
So my friend and I watched it on Pluto TV, and Pluto has subtitles on it. and the subtitles were weird as fuck. I'm gonna tell you that. They were they had, sometimes it was double what the person was saying, so it would be like, hi, I'm blah blah blah, and then it'll be hi, I'm blah blah blah, and I'm like, why did that happen twice, right? And then when they changed words around in there, so like bitch was witch, right, all these other words, and so it's like, why are they, changing that, why are they censoring it, I guess, However, it was even weirder because they did actually say bitch at one time, like it wrote bitch out. So I'm like, wait, what in the world is going on here? Like these
might be auto generating, like
no,
the film doesn't actually have like subtitles like on the show. Maybe it's like an on Pluto, so maybe it's like auto generating, like it's following what it's saying. But it's because when you do voice to text, people go, no, that's not what I said. It is, you said. A lot of the times it is how you pronounce it. So right. If I sit there and say, Jonathan, stop being a bitch, it may come up saying, Jonathan, stop being a witch, because I made it sound more like witch than bitch.
Okay.
So maybe it's doing an auto generation, like an auto generation for the subtitles, and the way that the person said bitch might have read it as witch.
YouTube does that or whatever. So auto generated,
because you get it on. Yeah. If you hit like closed captioning, obviously news isn't nobody's gonna sit there with subtitles.
Right.
So it's gonna be auto. So yeah, sometimes it's just gonna get stuff on, which is weird.
Yep. But it was weird. It was weird. So I was like looking at it going, I almost wanted to turn it off because, but I was like, fuck it. It was sort of almost funnier watching it like that. Like,
a friend of mine and myself, when we were in, when we lived in Northern California, up in the Bay Area, we asked our manager if we could go see an early screening of Nightmare on Elm Street 5.
Mm-hmm.
And it came out for some reason like a day early at a Hispanic theater in San Francisco. So we went, and they had the Spanish subtitles, and we always knew when Freddy was going to come up on screen, because even before the person said it, it would say like Friedo. So we would always know, oh, Freddy's coming up, and then all of a sudden there's Freddy, because the subtitle, it would be the whole subtitle, even though the person isn't finished saying it.
That's funny.
So one thing I want to, and I might be wrong because I don't speak Spanish, but it did say like whatever the Spanish equivalent of Freddy.
I'm just thinking it would be really funny to have a character named Fredo Krueger now.
It's his long distant cousin who lives in Mexico.
Yeah, lives in Mexico, and instead of knives for fingers, he has spoons. Why not?
One thing I do want to couple things. So in Scream, Sydney likes the bad boy, who then at the end loses her virginity and has a bra on. Okay, in this, Katie Holmes, I'm assuming, is a virgin.
She is
loses it to the bad boy and has her bra on. Kevin seems to be repeating himself here.
Well, remember, this was before Scream, and so he should have relooked.
But he shot it after Scream. Yeah,
I understand, and so you should have looked back and said, "Okay, there was a lot of things I stole from Teaching Mrs. Tingle and put into Scream. I should have." Because there's even a line, there's a specific line that Molly Ringwald says that's a direct line from Scream, which was, she says, somebody was a slutbag whore who flashed her shit all over town, or whatever. And it was the exact line
right.
From Scream. And so I think he didn't just repeat himself. I think he wrote Teaching Mrs. Tingle, liked what he wrote at times. When he was writing Scream, he was like, well, that movie Teaching Mrs. Tingle is never going to get made. I might as well put these things in here. Then he made the movie, and then he was like, he goes back later when he's able to make Teaching Mrs. Tingle, and he just forgot that he left a lot of that shit in there or something, or didn't think about it, or he's not as like big into his scripts as we are, like he's not,
Well,
we
yeah.
watch him all the time. He probably doesn't look at that like that. So he's probably like, oh shit, now he's
because you're not thinking, when you originally saw Scream, when I saw Scream in the theater and then I go see Mrs. Tingle, I'm not going, it's the same thing. It's the same thing because it's like 2 years later. But because we recently watched all of these. Yeah. And another thing is the ending. Once again, like 1 year later or 6 months later, whatever it is, just like The Faculty, because it's never satisfying. So just like The Faculty, everything is totally back to normal. Guys get the girls. Everything is perfectly fine. In this one, they're at graduation. She gets the valedictorian, I guess. And everything, like they're friends again, even though she screwed her best friends, the guy that she likes, everything is back to normal. It's okay. They're all walking with their arms around each other. And then I'm thinking, no, wait a minute. It doesn't matter. So I guess Miss Tingle dropped all charges because there's still kidnapping. There's, all this stuff. Is Miss Tingle in jail? What is going on here? So, I mean, you have the principal saying, I'm going to call the police, and everything is totally normal. At that, I mean, it doesn't matter. There would still be some sort of law, involved in all of this, including the best friend when she's pissed off at Katie Holmes. And shit, I watched both seasons of Euphoria, so I guess for teenage girls, the biggest thing in the world is a boyfriend. And so glad I don't have friggin' kids. And so I guess the best friend is like, okay, I'm not talking to you because you had sex with the guy that I like. And now I'm just going to ignore everything that happened. It's like, you're still going to go to jail. It's still kidnapping.
It's kidnapping, extortion, like blackmail, there's
reckless endangerment. It's like
endangerment. There's
everything. And then Miss Tingle almost, and I think you're right. I think that was a reshoot. I think the kid did die. I think that she probably did shoot her. And so even with the book and stuff, I mean, still that student alone could sue Miss Tingle for firing a freaking crossbow at her. But everything is back to normal at the end. Like everything is perfectly fine.
You're right. I mean, absolutely. It's like, it's ridiculous. It's, but I don't know, like it's sort of the satisfying ending of her becoming valedictorian after all this after dealing with all this crap, I mean, like you said, you like Katie Holmes, and you probably watched this movie originally because Katie Holmes is in it,
one of the reasons.
And Katie, is likable in this movie. You feel sorry that she's getting treated by this teacher this way. You're not sorry that she's going through like doing all this shit to the teacher. You kind of, that's the part that's unlikable for all of this, is like, all that to happen. So I don't know.
Well, and Katie Holmes, that's why I said at the beginning of this, nobody learns anything, because at the very beginning, Katie Holmes is, why don't you like me? At the end of the movie, it's, why don't you like me? It's all about Katie Holmes. It's not about, you're a bad person for 20 years. You've been doing this to students for 20 years. You're horrible. Nobody likes you. None of that. It's all about Katie Holmes. So this entire thing is selfish. It's all about her getting that grade. And they really taught Miss Tingle nothing. So I want this removed and it just to be called Miss Tingle.
Actually, that's just a good title too. I mean, just calling it Miss Tingle,
Yeah, because Miss Tingle didn't learn anything.
She didn't.
And that's the thing. If you're teaching her a lesson, then she's strapped to the bed. She's been tortured. And she goes, look, you give me a good acting performance, to the friend. I change your grade. because now she's learning. Like, you give me a good performance.
Mhm.
Explain to me, Katie Holmes, why I should give you an A for the Salem Witch book. Explain that to me. Give it to me. Have her learn from being this horrible human being to then at the very end learning a lesson, just like Kevin Spacey did in Swimming with Sharks. Of course, in that film, he did give Frank Whaley the choice, either shoot your girlfriend or shoot me. He shot the girlfriend so that he could become a big producer. But it's still Smith, Kevin Spacey was tortured.
Right.
Because he's such an asshole. And in this, she got a boo-boo on her head? And what happened to the dog? Dog was never seen after a while. It just kind of disappeared.
That's true. I don't know. I don't think anything bad happened to it or good or bad. I think it's just.
No, it just kind of disappears.
I think they just didn't have anything for the dog to do. So they just.
Well, and that's another thing. Threaten the dog. And then missed. Well, and then missed it, but you're not going to do anything to it. Right, it's one of those things where it kind of reminded me of Precious, in Silence of the Lambs, where it's if they sat there and said, "Oh, you love your dog? Horrible to see that dog in the microwave." No, you wouldn't do that. How dare you? Do something to make her a better person, and they do nothing. None of them become a better person. They learn nothing from this.
Yeah. That's
my biggest problem with this is nobody learns anything from this at all.
That's very true. So yeah, I agree. I 100% agree, but I don't know. I still enjoy it. It's a movie. It's a movie. That is your right. I know. And I don't I don't know why, but I mean, I disagree that it's outrageously funny. I think it has some really funny moments in it, including
what's funny?
I love the irony stuff, throughout, because I always felt.
I love grammar Nazis. I mean, I absolutely love when people. I've seen videos on YouTube, where they, where people are constantly correcting other people's grammar.
Right.
And God, I wish I could think of I'm trying to think of one right now. I'd actually just said the word earlier and everybody does it wrong, or at least they used to. But I love that she just doesn't understand, the word.
And then she gets it right at the end. And then so Miss Tingle looks over it.
So she does learn. She does learn something. She learns what the word, how to use the word, ironically correctly.
But they're teaching Mrs. Tingle, and it should have been like Mrs. Tingle taught them, or whatever. She learned on her, or maybe whatever. So the last things, because we're almost at the hour anyway. The last things I want to share, I thought it was interesting. The name Mr. Potter, in Dawson's Creek, there was a Joey Potter is what Katie Holmes's character's name is. So I thought that was funny. I think there's a Josephine in this as well, which I think was Molly Ringwald's character, if I'm correct.
Mrs. Banks.
Mrs. Banks. Okay. And there's Mrs. Gold. Brian Barry. There's a guy, was it Barry Watson played in the movie. So there's a Mr. Barry, which is what she calls the student with the crossbow. Just little things like that I thought were interesting. I don't think any of the other characters were actually named after, or any kind of reference to anything else, because I think literally the Mr. Potter title was, maybe Kevin knows a guy named, or a person named Potter, the last name Potter, like maybe a friend or something of his back in the day. And then he brings it back to Dawson's Creek is, because once again, this movie had been like bought. This was the first script he ever sold, he sold this script and then they never did anything with it. I forgot what company did it, like Searchlight or something. bought it, but they never did anything with it. Then was it Kevin Williamson made all these different things. That script went into turnaround, which meant that the rights went back to Kevin Williamson. Kevin Williamson said, I would like, this would be the one I'd want to direct, because I believe I read also that he got offered to direct Faculty, but he was already directing, set up to direct this. And after this, he never directed anything else. So,
yeah, let's thank somebody that he did not direct The Faculty.
Yeah, I'm glad he didn't. I think it would have been a completely different, movie, and it probably wouldn't have gotten the same, the same thing. But then again, it was written, and you said like you noticed things from The Faculty to this that sort of, annoy you, with the ending, and everything. There's similar endings.
Yeah, I guess maybe if it was a better movie, it wouldn't bother me as much. But it seems to like, oh, okay. And I thought that like the whole kind of sex thing was weird. It's just like you have a woman upstairs who's tied to a bed, and you're having sex downstairs on her floor. I think it would have been.
I don't know. I think it would have been cool if they made it into a slasher where the teacher was out there murdering the students or something. I'm sure it's been done millions of times, but it would have been, I think that would have been more up the realm of like, Kevin Williamson,
Did you ever see Strange Behavior?
Mm-mm.
With Katie Holmes in that one?
Oh, you're talking about Disturbing Behavior.
Disturbing Behavior, yes. Yeah, Strange Behavior is also. Yeah, Disturbing Behavior.
Yeah, I've seen that, of course. I love that movie. I once again, I mean, I've seen, I don't know. I know I had posters of like, of Teaching Mrs. Tingle and of Katie Holmes herself on like Dawson's Creek thing. It was just her poster. And so I, huge fan of those stuff, but I might have had one of Disturbing Behavior as well, because I absolutely, every time I got a chance to buy a Katie Holmes poster, like actual like big ass poster, I would do it, so I was just absolutely in love with her. Nowadays,
maybe that's one we should do. Maybe that's at the very end. I think I have that on Blu-ray.
Eventually, yes, I think we should. We've got a few other ones to get through.
Yeah.
Next we are doing I Know What You Did Last Summer, which I think is a much better movie. I agree.
100 times better. Yes.
I know you would agree, but I say it's better. It's not necessarily, I mean, I don't know. Like, which one would I watch more? Probably I Know What You Did Last Summer. But I still would watch Teaching Mrs. Tingle, over and over again, because I have. I've seen it like 10 times. So I love the movie.
Oh my God.
I know. Like, it's funny how different we are about this shit. Cursed, I think it's way better than Cursed, but
not me. But I'm also going off of the shiny turd theory, type of thing that, Cursed may have like the bow on it, but it's still shed.
Right.
They're both shed, but I would rather watch Cursed and at least that to me, Cursed is fun. It's a mess, but at least it's fun.
I don't know. I love it. I love Teaching Mrs. Tingle, and I find it fun. I find it fun, hip, and entertaining. I don't find it outrageously funny like it was listed. I think
apparently you're wrong, because it says it right here.
That's what
it does
saying.
say it's outrageously comedy filled. Outrageously comedy film, and it is outrageously funny back here. So
I don't agree
I know
that,
I'm wrong, because it says it there.
I am. Well, I mean, we've seen that. We've seen people who post, things like that on their stuff, and it's not necessarily true. So,
what's the fun?
Yep.
I did not have fun.
Well, thank you so much for checking it out again and doing your.
Sure.
once again, it's not a horror film, you know, and anyone who goes, oh my God, this is not a horror film. Why are you doing it on a show called Horror Film Lovers? Because it's a Kevin Williamson thing, you know, we're going through all of
That's what we're doing.
his
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I even have, I got Curse sitting right here, ready to be filed. So here's.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
In fact, I'm just going to put this right here. There we go, right next to it.
Everybody else, thank you guys so much for checking this out. Join us next week when we talk about I Know What You Did Last Summer, which I'm trying to think of what I did last summer. I guess we'll talk about that when we get back. So thank you guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks. Bye.